But what I mean by like bigger than nursing, it's like I want to advocate for all the nurses out there that you could still work your job and still pursue the things you love at the same time.
Yes.
And if I could do it, like I feel like anyone else can, because I was in the same shoes.
Welcome back to the show, the Nice Veins Bro podcast, the #1 personal development podcast for healthcare and wellness professionals. I'm Nene Pablo, host of this podcast, registered nurse and creator of Nice Veins Bro. I'm excited because we have Aaron Rivera, and I have to say it with a Hispanic accent. But excited that you are here. We're going to talk straight about travel nursing. I want to jump right in.
Yes.
I know that you are ICU travel nurse. I remember seeing your page because you have the absolute sickest reels of, because you're a power lifter. And then I also saw that you were a travel nurse. I was like, man, I got to connect to this guy. And I actually sent you some of the merch. You were the first person that I sent merch to back when I was first starting out.
Yeah.
So that was...
I remember that. And you know what's crazy? You were the first person to send me something ever.
Are you serious?
I'm being serious, yeah.
Dang, that's so cool.
Like, that's why I was like, I have to hop on this podcast. Like,
yeah. That's
Alex
so
was
great.
like the first person to send me something.
Yeah.
And after that, it's just been like, it's been great ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
I didn't know I was the first person.
Yeah, so it's the first and the first. But yeah, what's cool is that I've seen that you've grown so quickly too, with how many followers you've gotten and, with the connections you've got down there in Houston. So really, really excited for what you're doing. And so, but I want to talk about the travel nursing first. You started going into travel nursing. Was it during COVID? Because I know that got super popular, and I don't know if it was because, the money and stuff, because that was getting really, really big, and it was very tempting. But tell me your story of how you went from working at a hospital and then going into travel.
So the crazy thing was, whenever I graduated from nursing school, and then I've been working at the same hospital since I was 20. I'm 27 now. So I got a job there as an aide when I was 20 until 24. So I worked as an aide for 4.5 years. And then once I went to school, passed my NCLEX, I went to work in the ICU. And then my ICU training was about 6 months, right? So right after the 6 month ended, boom, COVID just hit.
Oh, COVID hit.
Just hit when I got off orientation.
Yeah.
So everything I learned and knew was just, nope, we got to do something else now.
Yep.
We got to learn a whole new style of nursing. And
I
was like, man, this is very overwhelming. And I remember it was like my second day off orientation, I had the first COVID case in the hospital. In the city, like first known and tested. Yep.
Bro, I had the first COVID patient in our hospital as well. And they didn't freaking know what it was. And you know how so they were just like, and I was PRN at the time at that hospital. And they're like, they souped me up with all the...
We were all suited up. Yeah. I'll never forget the moment when I stepped in the room. I'm like, I'm actually doing this.
Yeah,
like,
that's how I felt.
The world stopped. Everyone in the world stopped because of this. And I'm facing it literally right in front of me.
In the face. Yep. That's a crazy feeling.
That was a crazy beginning.
Yeah.
Obviously throughout that time, I was still new grad. I was still kind of learning the ropes, and then there comes a time where we actually needed so much support, where we were pulling nurses from other units to help out. My mom worked at the cardiac step down unit, and they didn't have any COVID patients, so we were like bringing them up. And it's crazy, like I was working alongside my mom, but like she wasn't able to titrate any drips or anything. She can only help me like pull meds and like help with turns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we did that for a little while, and then we started getting travel nurses. And I had no idea what travel nursing was. I didn't even hear of it until the pandemic. So I remember I was training a travel nurse. I was like, wow, I'm actually training someone. I've been off orientation for like 3 months now, but okay. I guess I'll show him around. So obviously, it's a way more experienced nurse than I am.
Right.
I'm like kind of telling him, well, how we do it, and then he's like, I was like, so like I've been hearing like travel nurses like make a decent amount of money. Like how much do you like specifically make if you don't mind me asking? And then he named this price, and I was like, that's like almost a
Yeah,
months worth of work
right. For
in
doing
like
the
for
same
doing the
job
same
that you're
thing.
doing. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean that was enticing, right? But obviously I had a whole life in Pennsylvania. It's like you hear the money and you just want to leave, but it doesn't work like that, you know, because you have other responsibilities, you have other priorities at home that you have to take care of, and you can't just pack up and leave. But eventually got to the point where I was kind of just unhappy with what I was doing in terms of I felt like I was just working, 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 and outside of that, I was trying to pursue the things I love, which was also fitness. And I feel like I was lacking that until I kind of saw Russell Orhe. He's the CEO of Better and Corrupted Strength.
Mm-hmm.
They were building out Corrupted Strength during COVID, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to finally go there one day, you know, take a visit down. Um, and then I think a couple of my coworkers actually left for travel nursing, and I'm just like, man, like I feel like I'm gonna be the only one left here. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I eventually had nothing holding me down. I saved enough money to kind of live on my own, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna. I don't know when I can have this opportunity this easily because I know most travel nurses you need 2 years of experience to get out, but they were hiring. I was probably like a year and a half in,
Yeah.
and recruiter reached out to me. I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's go. Let's try to take a contract like not too close, not too far, and that would have been North Carolina,
Mm.
6 hours away
Yeah, because you were originally in Pennsylvania, right?
from Pennsylvania. So I took the contract and I was like, I accepted. I was like, all right, there's no turning back.
Dang.
Like in 2 weeks, I left.
That feeling, I bet, is
Yeah,
like, all right, this is it, you know?
and after 2 weeks, after I signed, I put my 2 weeks in, and then I packed my car and I left.
Dang. So tell everybody who's not familiar what is before we go into because you're now in North Carolina, right?
I'm so from the story I'm in, and once I left, I was in North Carolina, but now
Right,
I'm
in
in
this
Houston,
story, yeah.
Texas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you move over to North Carolina, and you had mentioned something about Corrupted Strength and the GBT brand or Get Better.
Yes.
But let's explain to the people who are listening what that is.
So corrupted strength, I'd say is, ooh, I say it's the best powerlifting gym in the country,
Dang.
and I want to say it has the best powerlifting culture in the Houston space right now.
Dang. Yeah.
So, the owner of Corrupted Strength is Russell Orhe, which is a two-time world champion, I believe five-time national champion for his weight class. Um, and he built out this gym 2 years ago. 2 years ago, as of like last week, actually.
Wow.
But he also has a clothing brand called Better, which was formerly known as Get Better today, but it is now called Better.
Okay.
So he owns both the gym and the clothing company.
Awesome. And so you heard about them all the way in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I've heard about him since probably when I was in nursing school in like
Oh, okay. So
2018,
that's
2019.
got it. Wow. Okay. I thought that whenever you got to Houston, found out
Found
about that
that.
culture and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But that was in your mind since in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
I was kind of like watching from afar because
Yeah.
he didn't even have the gym yet. He just had the clothing brand.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
I've been watching him since he was a elite lifter,
Yeah.
which inspired me to start powerlifting myself.
That's awesome. And so when you're thinking, okay, I'm going to travel now, you thought of Houston, but that's not where you ended up. You ended up in
In North Carolina.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me how much time were you there in North Carolina?
So when I left, my first contract was going to be 3 months in North Carolina. So I think I got there at around a March, March 2021. And it was a scary but like exciting experience because I've never been kind of on the road by myself, and I didn't know anyone in North Carolina. Anyone. I booked a Airbnb, which was underneath a professor's house. So I had like a basement with like a shower, stove, kitchen kind of deal, which was a shared space from people above me.
Yeah.
and it was $15 a day.
$15 a day.
Yeah,
Dang.
$15 a day, and it was walking distance from the hospital. I'm like, okay, so I don't have to worry about driving. This would be a first good gig. I'm close to the hospital where I'm supposed to be. I'm not going crazy, going out and exploring all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So my contract was there for 3 months, and then
And how many shifts did you work per week there?
I only did 3 night shifts a week,
Okay. All right.
and I had night shift experience too, so I was used to that flow
Yeah.
and like the schedule.
That sounds reasonable. There were some nurses that were travel on our unit that were like 8 shifts in a row, a day, 1 day break, and then 8 shifts in a row, and 1 day. And I'm like, nah, dude.
No, they honestly, UNC, that was the hospital I worked at, was probably one of the best hospitals I've ever been to.
In
They
North
treated-
Carolina?
Yeah, ever, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like Disneyland of hospitals. Like
Dang.
they
All
made
the
us
best
take,
hospitals, the hospitals that treat nurses the best are like on the East Coast
Yeah.
and the West Coast.
I know. They treated
Everything
the
in
travel
the
nurses
South.
the best.
Yeah, the travel
Like
nurses.
I
Right.
actually got spoiled. I was like, I thought I was doing all the hard stuff, but like some days they would take me in, I would just be like floating around and helping other people.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe their whole COVID setup. I thought this was like the future of COVID nursing too.
Dang.
I
Yeah.
kind of want to tap into that. It's like I don't know how you guys do it, but UNC they had what's called like a clean zone and a dirty zone, and then you kind of get buddied up with a other nurse. So
Okay.
let's say that I was the primary nurse and I have the secondary nurse. I go in the COVID zone, which is all the rooms outside a nurse's station, and I would get suited up and I would stay there for like 3 to 4 hours at a time. So I would stay there. The secondary nurse would grab all the stuff that I need in terms of like meds, supplies.
That
So
would
they
be
were,
the
like,
that would be the
cleaners.
clean nurse. Yeah.
The cleaners. So they would
Yeah.
hand me all the stuff that I need from the med rooms, supply rooms, hand it to me, and I'd be doing my care with all the dirty nurses out there. So once I do like my med pass, my charting, my turns, we would rotate out, and I would just
Oh.
be the clean nurse for like 3 to 4 hours.
Dang. So it was like a buddy system for real.
It was a buddy system, and I was like,
I freaking love that.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened. I got a fresh N95 every time I walked in.
Wow.
They had specific staff putting on my PPE. They were putting on my PPE.
Are you serious? You like
And a specific
freaking
staff.
surgeon?
Yes. And a
Like
specific
scrubbing in and
staff
scrubbing out. That's
taking
crazy.
off my PPE.
Dang. So
it
y'all
was
were
a-
doing it
yeah.
the real way, like yeah. The world
were
needed
doing
to
it-
see, yeah.
They were doing it the real way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I was used to recycling my N95 in a paper
Yep.
bag on
That's
the
the
wall.
rest of the country. Yeah.
Yep.
I can't think of another hospital that was doing that, from my knowledge. Definitely here in Texas, they weren't doing that.
Oh, they were not doing that over
So,
here.
yeah.
When I got here, it was a wake-up call.
You're like, whoa, what the heck? I want to go back to.
Whoa. Yeah.
Can I suggest something to the CEO
Yeah.
of the hospital?
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
But-
But that's the resources. I mean, the resources there at UNC sounds, it sounded like they knew how to deal with their resources. So,
It was great, and I've met a couple of friends along the way that in North Carolina while working that became one of my best friends. I still talk to this day.
awesome.
So like you never know, like those those nurse relationships, like something about them. It's like
Yes.
I can't explain. It's like only nurses would know.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like when you're in the trenches. I kind of see it in the military too. When there's like two people from like the same, what's it called? The same wing. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But like in the military, and they know like, oh, you're Air Force, I'm Air Force, or what war did you fight in? And it's like I fought in the same war. There's just like this thing that you can't explain that you go through, especially COVID. If you worked with COVID patients, I worked with COVID patients. There's it's a whole world that people in the future and in the past who didn't experience it are never going to understand. When you live through a pandemic like that, it's like crazy.
You have to live through it. Which oh my gosh, that feels like so long ago, but it wasn't.
Doesn't it? Yeah. After the whole country's kind of opened up now,
Yeah.
and then it just feels like forever ago. But so tell me your transition from North Carolina down to Texas.
So actually, when I first drove down to North Carolina, my best friend Francis, he moved to Texas that same day I left. So I actually drove to North Carolina, unloaded all my things, packed the suitcase, a small suitcase, and I flew to Texas. I didn't even settle down yet.
Wow.
So I flew to Texas to kind of just visit him along with my other friend Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kind of got a little bit of taste of like what Houston was like from like a
Mm-hmm.
Friday to a Sunday. You know,
The
just
humidity.
the humidity. Oh my gosh, humidity. We checked out Alpha Elite at the time,
Yeah.
which was
Oh, I
now
gotta go
is
there.
Alpha Land.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym before Alpha Land became a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I got a little taste of like the gym culture down there. And then after that weekend, I flew back to Houston or flew back to North Carolina. I'm like, you know what? After this contract's done, I'll see if I want to go there next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you end up in Houston.
I ended up in Houston yeah. After that, 3 months.
I want to talk. I want to talk about the community that you find in Houston that I know is really important to you now. You've been how long have you been in Houston now?
So I've been in Houston for 2 years as of like last month.
Yeah. So someone's at like what the heck? You're traveling. You leave Pennsylvania where all your kind of childhood memories and all that stuff, and now you're in way down south. Tell me about the community that you build in Houston.
So the community here was like I didn't think it was gonna be like this great for me. Um, when I first got here, I thought it was just like, oh, there's people just like going to the gym and stuff like that. But it was greater than that. Uh, we all were lifting out of like Alpha Elite, it was a smaller gym, and then Alpha Lane opened up, and then Corrupted Strength opened up. So there was just two big niches now. Um, I started coming around the gym a lot more. Like, I'd still work my 312s, and then on my days off, I would go train. Um, the gym, it's a warehouse gym, so it's kind of tiny. It looks big in pictures, but it's big, but it's actually like tiny in comparison to other gyms.
Yeah.
I would just kind of like meet the staff, meet the people, and eventually, I think it was one day I was working. I'll never forget this. The manager of the gym also works for Russ for the Better brand, and she shot me a DM while I was at work and was like, "Hey, we need someone for a photo shoot for the Better brand in like tomorrow."
In
I was
like tomorrow.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, tell him I'll be there. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm down." I scheduled a haircut. I went to the bathroom, scheduled a haircut for the next day, and then
You got to look clean for the
yeah,
photo
so
shoot.
I did a impromptu photo shoot with Russ, the owner, and Duhan, the photographer, videographer, and that was when I met them really in like in a closed setting, not the gym setting. That's how I got to know them, and that first photo shoot was kind of like the catalyst for everything moving forward.
Yeah. That's so awesome. How often do you spend at the gym?
So when I'm not at work, I would probably spend like 3 hours at the gym in
Yeah.
terms of like doing all the content stuff and lifting. When I'm on prep mode, I would work my 12, drive 45 minutes to the gym from work, train for like an hour and a half, and then go home. So that's like a 5 a.m. day to 11 p.m. day
Dang.
to wake back up again at 5 a.m. That's when
Yeah,
I'm on
to go
prep,
back
though.
to the
Yeah.
to the hospital. People
But
are like, you're crazy, but when you have a passion for something, there's no
you just got to
excuses.
go through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that community I met down there kind of started off with that photo shoot. Because after that photo shoot, I got asked to do another photo shoot from a different brand who also goes in the gym. And I ended up just kind of talking and making friends with everyone.
Yeah. What's the difference between having a community like that that's sort of like because the powerlifting community they're a whole different
yeah.
breed, and then you got the CrossFit people, and then but there's like these different groups that if you're by yourself, you don't get the same power dynamic that you do with a group, with a community. So how has that community helped you personally to grow?
So I think the biggest part of like my personal growth in terms of like my career, my profession, and how I portray myself was because of this community I've submerged myself into. Everyone here I've met and surround myself with, they want more out of life. they do things to better themselves
Mm.
every day, mentally, physically, financially, and there's always just like there's always things to do. And seeing them kind of follow their dreams, chase their dreams, I see people like be like just some ordinary person and then become this big influential figure, and now he is influencing a lot of people to do things that they want to do. And just kind of surrounding myself with that made me want to pursue things that's bigger than nursing,
Yeah,
but
it's
still
like,
staying in my roots.
yeah, yeah. And it's kind of contagious when you're around people who have this attitude, who are like wanting to live that next level life. When you talk about things bigger than nursing, tell me about that a little bit.
So, I think I've encountered a lot of situations where I'm at work and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to the gym after work,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and she's like, oh, and I just hear people like, oh, what, really? I think, oh, we were gonna go to the bar and like drink just a little bit and then go home and stuff like that, which is nothing wrong with that, but I was like, I don't want my life to just be work, work, work. Look forward to the weekend to do, you know,
Heck
whatever,
yeah.
and then having to dread going back to work.
Yes.
Um, so like I haven't worked in like a week because of grad school as well, because I'm in a grad school for my nurse practitioner. But like I'm actually looking forward to go back tomorrow and like kind of give myself like a reset of like like I'm living like two lives. So
Yeah.
give me a little break from this life to go back to the hospital life. Um, but what I mean by like bigger than nursing, it's like I want to advocate for all the nurses out there that you could still work your job and still pursue the things you love at the same time.
Yes.
And if I could do it, like I feel like anyone else can because I was in the same shoes. You know?
Preach. Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to NP school now.
Yes,
And
I'm a year in
Okay.
MP school.
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah. What are you planning to do with that?
So throughout, I am actually in I start clinical in November, and my program is acute care or adult general acute care nurse practitioner. So essentially, I would be working in the hospital. Well, what I like to do is to be a mid-level provider in the ICU, an intensivist. But also throughout working at the hospital, I've met other people who saw like the videography and the photography side of me,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
want me to kind of help start a med spa
Mm.
to help like do aesthetic
Yep.
nursing essentially.
Yep. Yep.
So that's another option I have to go whenever I graduate as well.
Yeah.
But originally I wanted to be an ICU mid-level provider.
Yeah. But what's exciting is, the thing that people always talk about with nursing is that there's so many options. But for people who are creative, myself, I would consider there's many other things, right?
Oh,
That
yeah.
we could see ourselves doing. And so when you think about, and this happens with not just people in nursing, but physicians I've seen, freaking PTs, RTs, anybody in healthcare who has like an artistic side. A lot of times, you know, we have this whole thing in healthcare, but there's this other side
There's an
of
other
us.
side that you don't realize. Like, what makes you want to buy those scrubs? It's because you saw a really cool ad on
Right.
the internet, and like some of those people who make those ads are nurses.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like that was the one of the catalysts that made me want to do like nurse content on the side as well. And surprisingly, after like less than a year of doing it, I've like received a lot of good feedback, and a couple videos went viral, and I've had a couple brands reach out to me to help make more content for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's something that I keep encouraging people. It's like, yes, you absolutely focus, on your career in nursing, but or recognize, or nursing or whatever it is, but recognize that if you have other talents and stuff, like you can invest in those. And because there's flexibility specifically in nursing,
Yeah.
where you can, work a couple days or even PRN, and like, you know, build something else, whether it's start a business or whether it's, you know, get higher education and work in a different area so that you have a little more flexibility, you can then expand your skills that are high level skills and then end up ending, not just earning more, right? Money, the dollar signs,
Yeah.
but you can also live more fulfilled because there's other areas of your life that you are just ready to tap into. And I see that with you, you know, all the time. Like you're not just, oh, nursing defines me. You know, you're like, no, bro, like there's many other areas that I'm pouring into, and I just see you growing and getting better every day. No pun intended.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's just it's awesome to see. I want to really close by asking what you would tell a younger version of yourself who's maybe doesn't have that wide vision that you're starting to see more because of this important community that has poured into you, you know, and helped you expand that vision of what you can do in your life and all this stuff. Speak to somebody who maybe has those blinders on nursing is the only thing I can do or whatever. Like, what would you tell somebody to encourage them to get better every day and to develop themselves with community and plug into a community like that?
So, oh man, because I actually recently did an interview with the gym about this, and I was like, whoa, that's a very deep question. But if I would have to talk to my younger self, I would say embrace what you're about to go through, because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but there's a reason why you're going through those. And without those difficult times, you wouldn't be where you are today. Your thinking wouldn't be how it is now. When I was younger, I didn't want to do anything with nursing. I did not want to be a healthcare provider because it was so drilled into my head that, hey, your dad's a doctor, your mom's a doctor, your sister wants to be a nurse, you have to be in healthcare. And I was just like no, I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
But I took a chance, and then I ended up liking it. But in my head, I was just like, I don't want to do this. But I'd say just like leave an open mind. And obviously my first medical career choice I didn't get in. I didn't get into PA school, which was my original plan. And that led me to nursing, which led me to do what I do now. And if it weren't for those mistakes and how I come through those barriers, like I wouldn't be who I am now. So I'd say just embrace the process of the ups and downs, but know at the end of the day, like you're gonna be proud of who you become.
That's freaking dope. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I know that people who are listening, where can we tell people to find your stuff?
So to find my stuff, I on Instagram it's Aaron_Rivera. On TikTok it's RN_Aaron. So I do more nurse content on TikTok, but I do on Instagram. But I've been trying to incorporate more nursing into my Instagram because right now it's so busy with like better brand, lifting, fashion.
Yeah.
I'm also sponsored by Dickies Medical, so I'll be posting more content about Dickies.
Heck yeah, dude.
And Clove has reached out to me to make content for them as well, so I'll be doing more shoe content for
That's so
the
awesome.
hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on those social media.
Awesome. And then give a little plug to where people can find both Corrupted Strength stuff and also Better Brand.
Oh yeah, so if you ever want to come by and lift at a hot, sweaty warehouse full of people yelling and lifting each other up, we're going to be located in Stafford, Texas. That's where Corrupted Strength is. And then you guys can go shop the Better Brand at thebetterbrand.com. Use code Aaron to take 10% off this last drop.
Hey.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to pick some up, let me know. And
All right. Well, everybody, Aaron Rivera. So, yeah, we're excited that you came on the podcast.
Yeah.
And can't wait to see, man. I feel like your win is my win, bro. So go out there and slay.
Here.
And when you get your NP and keep achieving stuff, man, I love to see it. So keep hustling, and proud of you, bro. Okay, so guys, check him out, Aaron Rivera. thank you so much for listening. I hope that this was beneficial to you. If you have questions about travel nursing, I know that you also answer some questions on Instagram and stuff. So yeah, DM if you have any questions on specifically that you would want him to answer there on travel nursing. I think it's a great opportunity, even though you don't make as much as you did during the pandemic.
Yeah, I still say if you can do it, I think everyone should experience travel nursing.
Yeah, because you learn a heck ton that you would not otherwise if you stay at one location. I mean, you absolutely do.
You learn a lot about yourself too in the process.
That's right. Oh yeah, there's a lot of personal growth with that as well. So we could have a whole other podcast specifically on that, man.
We could.
Yeah.
Maybe next time too.
Next time. Happy to have you back again. Thank you so much for listening. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Comment below questions that you have about travel nursing, and I'll try to answer them. But really, he should be the one.
Hey, I'll be on the lookout.
Yeah, and he'll answer those. If you're listening on a audio only podcast platform, put a 5-star review. It really helps kick out the content for people to find us, and we really want to make this big for personal growth and development for all healthcare people. Just because healthcare is broken does not mean you have to be. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to be a positive force and influence within healthcare and society. Que Dios me lo bendiga. When I would listen to podcasts before I became a podcaster myself, I didn't realize how much leaving a 5-star review helped. And so now on this side, I just want you to know that it really does mean a whole lot when people review and share the content. So if you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody and leave a 5-star review on whichever platform you use, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And if you're interested, you can also find us on social media at Nice Veins Bro, or shop online at niceveinsbro.com. My personal stuff you can find under Nene Pablo, which is spelled NENEPABLO. I spend most of my time on YouTube making vlogs and videos and on Instagram. So I would love to connect with you. And remember, be a positive force and influence within healthcare and society. It's all about God, wellness, and purpose here. Thank you for listening.